What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders, episode number 21 of the season. The season has now finished up for the Commanders. Again, this is the first episode, I guess, of you can call the off season. A lot of stuff happening this week for the Washington Commanders. We got stuff to talk about with Scott Turner. He was fired about an hour after last week's episode was posted. I was pretty sure that he was going to be. So we have an update on him and who Washington could have as a new offensive coordinator next year. Then we have an update on Sam Howell, as Howell was announced. The Commanders are telling offensive coordinator candidates that Howell will be the starter in 2023. So we're going to talk about that a little bit on as well, and then update on the Commanders sale, as a lot of new information came out on Sunday regarding who is interested in the Commanders and how much they're willing to pay. So that'll be at the end of today's episode. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Kicking things off here with Scott Turner, again fired last Tuesday after 3 seasons with the Commanders, all 3 of them being under the Ron Rivera tree, I guess you could say. So after that, basically, quarterback coach Ken Zampese, he got interviewed for the Washington offensive coordinator job, but I think Ron Rivera said this, or maybe it was Martin Mayhew, but I think it was Ron Rivera. The Commanders are looking to go outside the building for their next offensive coordinator, so that is good because I don't want Zampese to be our offensive coordinator, because that will be a lot similar to Scott Turner's offense, which, again, Scott Turner, I don't feel like he is the worst of offensive coordinators in the NFL. There's a whole lot of guys, I believe, that are a lot worse than him. But I don't know if he was like fitting in the scheme very well that Ron Rivera wants to run with his offense. So it wasn't really just connecting there, and especially with the amount of talent that you have on the Washington Commanders offense, Terry, Jahan, Curtis Samuel. They this season at least they've been playing Samuel a lot like if he was Deebo Samuel. So that was an interesting thing to look at. The running backs, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, 2 very solid guys at the running back spot. The offensive line was pretty atrocious this year. The tight ends were not so great this year as well. But when you have a arguable top 10 wide receiver in Terry McLaurin and one of the best rising stars or one of the best offensive rookies this year in Jahan Dotson, a great red zone threat in Jahan Dotson, and you can't put up 30 offensive points in a single game this season, yeah, you're probably going to get fired, and that's exactly what happened to Scott Turner. So yeah, Zampese, the quarterback coach here in Washington, got interviewed, or will be interviewed. I think he already has, though, last week. Jim Caldwell, the former Lions head coach, he was asked about possibly being the offensive coordinator in Washington, which he isn't my, let's just say, number 1 target, but I wouldn't have him as my last target either. But anyways, it doesn't really matter because Jim Caldwell said no to interviewing for this offensive coordinator spot. And so that pretty much sums up what this is going to be like, because again, as coming as a new offensive coordinator, if there's going to be a new owner soon, that could mean there's going to be a new head coach. And if there's a new head coach, they'll probably fire the offensive coordinator. So I don't really see I don't see Washington getting any big names this season to add as their offensive coordinator. So hopefully it's not Zampese, but I would definitely say there still is a solid chance that Zampese is going to be the offensive coordinator in Washington. Another guy that this is probably so another guy that was probably going to be interviewed, or probably was asked to be interviewed, because I know there was a lot of stuff surrounding him, is former Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury, a great offensive mind. He probably was going to be interviewed, or he probably was asked to be interviewed by the Commanders, but of course now we know he has a one-way ticket to Thailand. He's probably already in Thailand. So there's that at least. And then Ben Johnson, the current Lions offensive coordinator, I don't think it will happen, but that's probably my number 1 target right now. If we can get him as our offensive coordinator with Terry and with a new quarterback, whether it be Sam Howell or someone else, I think Ben Johnson would fit perfectly. But I don't expect it to happen, like I said, because unless Ben Johnson comes over, or a guy like Eric Bieniemy as well, who's under a lot of fire right now in Kansas City for some reason. I'm not really understanding 100% why a lot of Chiefs fans don't want Bieniemy right now. But either Bieniemy or Johnson, if either of them come over and be our offensive coordinator, it would pretty much be to have a higher edge once we get a new head coach. Because let's be honest, unless something remarkable happens with Ron Rivera in this team next year. Ron's going to be gone after this season, or after next season, I guess. So unless they want the edge of possibly being like knowing the people in the building already and possibly being a new head coach in Washington, like a Ben Johnson or Eric Bieniemy, I don't think any big names would come over. So yeah, Ben Johnson probably won't happen, but he's my number one target. And then Ron Rivera is going to be meeting with the Snyder sometime this week. It was supposed to happen on Monday, but I believe someone reported, I forgot who was one of the beat reporters. It wasn't JP Finley, but it was someone else reported that the meeting will be happening later this week for some reason. Again, it's the Snyders, so I'm not really like too surprised that it got postponed because they're under a lot of fire right now as well. So yeah, that's gonna be it for Scott Turner. Hopefully maybe by next week we'll have an offensive coordinator. I'm not 100% sure. I don't expect it to happen anytime this week. Because of playoffs and stuff. And really, the only guy that people know that we've interviewed so far is Ken Zampese. So there's not really that many options unless we want to hire someone without even interviewing them, which is kind of wild. But yeah, that's going to be it for Scott Turner. Moving on to now Sam Howell. Earlier this week, CBS Sports reported that the Commanders are telling offensive coordinator candidates that Sam Howell will be the starter in 2023. Now, again, I'm not opposed to this. I think it's a win-win situation if we start Sam Howell for the entire season next year, especially since if Sam Howell does great next year, then yeah, maybe we have a franchise guy, a steal in the 5th round of last year's draft. Maybe we have a franchise guy. And if he does become our franchise guy, I'll admit that I was wrong because I was not high on Sam Howell coming into last year's draft. He was my QB5, I think, or QB6. He was like right around Bailey Zappi. I had him and Zappi at about the same area. So yeah, I wasn't that high on him coming into this draft, but I know some other people had him as QB1. So again, he has a pretty high ceiling, I would say. He showed a lot of flashes during that Week 18 game against Dallas. And yeah, if we start him, like I said, it's a win-win. He either does good next year and we have a franchise quarterback, or if he does bad next year, then we could be in prime position for a Caleb Williams or Sam Howell's predecessor at UNC, Drake May, or Quinn Ewers as well out of Texas, who's probably one of the biggest mysteries heading into next season's college football year and the 2024 NFL draft. So yeah, if Howell doesn't do good next year, we're still in prime position to draft a top tier quarterback with Williams again if we get the number one overall pick, because Caleb Williams is pretty much a lock right now to go number one in the 2024 draft. Drake May is going to be a top 10 pick as of right now. Quinn Ewers will be in that first round and somewhere in that first round as well. He was a pretty highly rated recruit coming out of high school. But yeah, I think it's a win-win. It also means that we probably won't be trading for a veteran starter this upcoming year. I don't expect us to trade for Derek Carr. Now, if Derek Carr gets released and then he clears waivers and then we sign him to a new contract as a backup, which is pretty unlikely because I think you would want to have a starting job next year. Unless that happens, I don't think we get a new or like a better. We go into next year with a veteran starting quarterback. I think Sam Howell, things could change, but I think Sam Howell is really going to be our starter in week 1. And going on with Derek Carr, the Colts, it was reported by Zach Kiefer, I think, from The Athletic. He's a Colts beat reporter. The Colts will not be trading for him, or it's highly unlikely the Colts will trade for Derek Carr, which is pretty reasonable because they traded for Carson Wentz, they traded for Phillip Rivers, they had Jacoby Brissett for a little bit, they traded for Matt Ryan. These veteran quarterbacks, year in year out for the Colts have not gone well. So, yeah, that the Colts will not be trading for him, and the Jets have also. There's rumors that the Jets have shown interest. So, pretty obvious. I think Derek Carr on the Jets, they could definitely be a playoff contender next year. With that team, that all that young talent on it, the 3 first-round picks from this past year, Garrett Wilson, he could be offensive rookie of the year this year, and Sauce Gardner should be defensive rookie of the year this year as well. He's playing like a top 5 corner. He probably is a top 5 corner in the NFL right now, even just after his rookie season. So that Jets team is pretty stacked on young talent, and if they can bring in a veteran guy like Derek Carr, I think the Jets could definitely make a run into the playoffs. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for Sam Howell. I'm excited to see what the Washington Commanders will do with Howell in that quarterback room, as right now Howell's going to be the only quarterback on the roster heading into free agency unless we re-sign So I know he won't be the only quarterback on the roster because I'm basically thinking Carson Wentz is a free agent at this point because I expect us to release him and save 30 million in cap next year, which is just really good because we need as much cap space as we can get because we do need a lot of depth at some positions like linebacker, like quarterback, offensive line as well. We really do need to make a splash, especially at offensive line. So we need the money to be able to spend. So I expect to release Carson Wentz, and then Taylor Heineke is going to be a free agent, which it'll be interesting to see if we bring him back or not. Which I feel like we will, but he definitely will be getting offers from other teams with injury-prone quarterbacks. To be the backup because he's definitely an above average backup. As much hate as I give him and other people give him, he's an above average backup, which a lot of teams could really use for their injury prone quarterbacks. So that's, yeah, he's a key piece there if we're going to bring him back or not. But yeah, that's it for Sam Howell. Moving on to the third topic here, an update on the Commanders sale. This is definitely probably the biggest news, I would say. So far this week, it happened. A lot of it was announced on Sunday. Sunday, it was reported that Jeff Bezos has yet to make a bid for the Washington Commanders. And to me, this is a little bit of a surprise. I think it was really 50-50 if he was going to make a bid or not. He has not, which is not great for the sale because Jeff Bezos can easily blow out any other bidders and buy the team outright from Daniel Snyder, and Snyder will take the money, no questions asked. So um, I think, yeah, he's definitely a big part of this sale. And if he hasn't even made a single offer yet, that's not great. Also, it was reported that no bid so far for the Commanders has surpassed $6.3 billion, which also not great because Snyder said he wants $7 billion, I believe, for the team. So that's not great. And Snyder would have to go down a little bit on his asking price if he were to accept one of the offers from the first round of bidding. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Todd Bailey. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but he has emerged as a big candidate to buy the team. He's a billionaire first of all. He was a finalist to buy the Denver Broncos in last offseason before the Walmart guy bought the team. He's also the co-owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Los Angeles Sparks as well. And he just bought Chelsea FC, a team from the Premier League in England, for $5.3 billion last May. So he could definitely be a guy that is looking into, I think people have said he is looking into buying the Washington Commanders. And yeah, I would not be opposed to him. I haven't done like a big background check on him, but I would not be opposed to him as of now on buying the team because really anyone is better than Dan Snyder. Another guy that could possibly buy the team, John Henry. He owns the Boston Red Sox, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and is also in the process of selling a Premier League team, the Liverpool Football Club. So that's really interesting because Dan Snyder said that his like place where he stays or his residence is right now in England, and I think it was in London. I'm not sure, or yeah, I'm not sure. It's somewhere in England, which is interesting because if he is looking to buy a Premier League team, because many Premier League teams right now are for sale, like Liverpool, if he is looking into buying a Premier League team with the money that he's going to get from the Commanders, John Henry could be a big option, like a swap maybe. The Commanders for Liverpool FC. I think that would pretty much be. I mean, I don't think it would be completely fair, but that is two big time teams right in. I know one is really popular in America in Washington Commanders, and one is really popular pretty much internationally. Internationally, Liverpool, who just won the Premier League 2 years ago, I think, or 3 seasons ago. They are a great team as well. So it's good. I don't know if a swap there will happen or not with John Henry, but that is definitely something to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's pretty much all the updates for the Commanders sale. I don't expect anything to happen relatively soon, like in a week. But JP Finley did say that look for. He reported that the process will be done soon. So whether the process to be just reviewing offers and that's it, and Dan Snyder is going to keep the team for another year, or if it's actually going to be to sell the team itself, um, it's going to be done soon. Now, I don't know how soon it's going to be, like in the next week. I don't expect it to be in the next week, next 2 weeks, but I would definitely say there should be something, or there should be more news that comes out before the Super Bowl or before free agency opens. Because if there's a new owner that wants to buy the team, a relatively good time is to buy it from now to about a week or 2 weeks before free agency opens, which is like the third week or second week of March. So, because if a new owner buys the team, they can hire a new coaching staff that they want. They have the time to do all that, to come, like, bring people in for interviews and stuff, and basically put a team together before free agency, and they can come up with a plan and stuff. So that would probably be one of the most optimum times for a new owner to come in, which, again, this team is relatively high chance that we go into 2023 with a new owner, new GM, new head coach, and new quarterback. We are going to be going into 2023 with a new quarterback for sure, whether it be Sam Howell or someone else. But head coach, that could change with a new owner. Same with a new GM, a new team president, if there's a new owner or not. So that all could change as well. But yeah, that'll do it for the main topics. One other thing I do want to mention: the Commanders' opponents for 2023 has been released because the regular season has ended. You got one AFC division, one NFC division, the three teams in your own division, of course, twice, and then I believe like an extra, yeah, one division in the AFC, one division in the NFC, and then three teams that have placed the same in their specific divisions, that as you, basically. So yeah, pretty much. So basically, at home, it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals, the San Francisco 49ers, the Buffalo Bills, Dolphins, the Bears, and the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants. And then on the road, it'll be the Rams, Patriots, Jets, Seahawks, Broncos, Falcons, and Cowboys, Eagles, Giants. So if we're looking at this, Washington relatively has a hard schedule next year. This year, we had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL, and we pretty much blew it up, and we didn't even make the playoffs, even though we did have one of these easy schedules in the NFL. So next year's schedule would definitely be harder. Some big things to watch: the 49ers, the Bills, the Dolphins, all at home next year. At least it's at home, but those are definitely going to be some good teams. Tua seems to be looking like he's going to return in 2023. So the Dolphins will definitely be a team to watch. They still got Tyreek Hill. They still got Bradley Chubb. They signed him to an extension. They still got Jalen Waddle. They're probably going to bring in a running back, whether it be a Tony Pollard or a Bijan Robinson in the draft, if they want to trade up into the first round. They're definitely going to bring in a running back because they don't really have one right now besides Raheem Mostert, and he was injured for their game against the Bills on Sunday. So yeah, the Dolphins, they're going to be a tough opponent. The 49ers are always a tough opponent. Same with the Bills. And then on the road is a little bit easier, but a lot of teams that could be breaking out next year, like the Jets, if they get Derek Carr or a upgrade at their quarterback spot. The Broncos, I expect them to be a whole lot better next year. I expect them to be contending for a wild card spot as well. I don't think Russell Wilson is as bad as he showed this year. I still think he does have some stuff in him, especially if the scheme around him gets better, which with a new head coach, they haven't hired anyone yet, but I know they're looking at Dan Quinn and some other guys as well. Their own defensive coordinator as well is a candidate. So I definitely expect them to be better next season. The Patriots, I don't think will be that great. The Rams will definitely be taking for Caleb Williams, I feel, next year. So the away schedule is definitely a lot easier. But again, the teams in our own conference, Cowboys, Eagles, those two teams are going to be pretty solid. Again, I'm recording this before the Cowboys-Bucks game on Monday night, but yeah, whatever happens there, I feel like this team is still going to be above average and still be a playoff team next year. And then the Giants, moving on to the divisional round, every team in our division is better than us right now, and I don't think anyone can deny that. Brian Daboll has done a great job rebuilding that Giants team, which leaves Ron Rivera to pretty much no excuses on why we haven't been able to make the playoffs, except that one year that doesn't really count because we were 7-9 and somehow made it in because we won the division. But yeah, Brian Daboll in his first year as the Giants head coach, from a 4-13 team last year to now a playoff winning team this year, which is just crazy, especially with Daniel Jones at your quarterback and Isaiah Hodgins being your wide receiver one. That is absurd. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this week's episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. A pretty long one, but yeah, we're pretty much gonna be recapping what happened for the Washington Commanders during the offseason each week, and starting to go into some draft stuff as well, as I'm preparing some other things, and then also changing up some of the graphics a little bit this offseason as well. So that'll be it for this week's episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. See you guys in the next one. Peace.